Hi.
Yes, welcome. We are very delighted to be here at the DASA Connect 2023. And our session is all about the power of communities and how they can create agile leaders.
Thanks for having us as keynote speaker, and thanks for joining the session. We will start about our view on communities and best practices, of course, and I will go into more detail about how communities and leadership can enforce each other. If you have any questions, please use the chat. We will be there, and also, of course, the community will be there. So please let us know your thoughts.
Yes, so firstly, of course, my name is Merel van Zelderen. I work at Odina.
My name is Floris Kwant. I work as an agile transformation coach, also for Ordina.
Yes, so now my part on communities. I'm going to start off with a quote that you may all know. It takes a village to raise a child. The meaning of that quote is that you actually have a sort of village community where children are given the security they need to develop and flourish and actually be able to realize their potential. So, in countries like Senegal, you really see villages or neighborhoods, and thus, in my opinion, communities raising up the child. And the moment I was living in Dakar in Senegal, I've seen various communities made on many aspects, mainly because I guess of the short lines they have. A lot of people know each other. Maybe that's also due to the fact that they live more outside, so there is space for creation, and perhaps it's also a cultural thing. I don't know, I'm just guessing here, but I'm raising up this example to show that communities can be anywhere, they can be made in any context. And that is also what I think is important if you look at the creation of communities. You can have communities outside, inside, at sports, at home, at work, etc. Because any human being wants to be heard and seen and want to feel like, a sense of belonging to a group of people, feel connected to, share, common experiences, common grounds with others, whether that is a knowledge or an expertise or a sport or maybe a hobby. It can be anything. So I hope that you understand a little bit where I'm going to and that communities are, anywhere, wherever you go. Maybe even if you still don't have any idea, you perhaps have WhatsApp or Facebook groups, and all of that is also an example of online community so that people can feel connected to each other. So does again. Oh, wait. Sorry. Thus again, communities are anywhere. However, the establishment of the community differs, as well as the insensitive, so this and the space where it takes place. So, what is now actually community? I've already mentioned a little bit on what a community can be as an example, but in fact, it's just simply a gathering of people who have common grounds. And communities do have a purpose because it's all about connection and sharing and be engaged together. So let's now move on to what a community driven company actually does or how we can actually build communities within companies. Come to that on the next slide. But a community in a company can be defined by the appearance of collective energy, but also very important by a safe and friendly work environment so that the company has strong intercompany connections to each other. And a community driven company in an ideal world is one whose members are its intrinsic value and its success depends on them. Coming to that now on the next slide, showing you what is the added value of communities actually within a company. You may already have been thinking about many. So also put that in the live chat if you have more ideas. I just summed up a few of them. So why are communities needed or do actually add value in a company? First of all, it can motivate people and make them feel part of the company. Second, it engages people with the company, whether it's company related or maybe extra curricular activities like how to make sure that the company is sustainable in its foods that they serve to people. And third, it helps with knowledge sharing and thus personal and in professional growth. But also it will help with the engagement of the employees in line with the vision of the company, which I think is also very important because it comes back to the 3 points that I just shared. And people will feel that listening ear and a sense of belonging to the place where they actually work at. And that will eventually result in I guess, a great company culture and people who really believe in the product that they're actually working with. Now, what I already mentioned a little bit, there can be two types of communities within organizations. So one is driven by the company content. So perhaps on the product that you're working with, or for me, an instance, the vision and the product of Odina, which I think is important. So I can think about that with others, how to improve it. And if not, you can also be be part of company overarching communities like sustainability or how you actually stay focused so you can improve that with others, diversity, and name it. So, in my opinion, there are many, many added values of communities in companies. I keep on mixing up the words in my mind, community company, but I guess you're having the same.
Hopefully,
um,
it will be the same in the end.
yeah, exactly. It should be one thing. Yeah. Anyways, companies who focus on communities and are thus community driven organizations, they rather pull ideas from their members instead of push ideas upon them because you give them that motivation and that space of creation of being together, whether it's personal or professional. And not only a community driven organization helps building communities within the company, but it can also eventually facilitate the community building outside of the company, which can help to gather, for instance, feedback from your end customers. Now, this is perhaps maybe some steps further, but I just wanted to mention it as well as being, yeah, a great advantage of having that community driven company. Now, how do we actually build them? Communities do not just come within a day or a week. It all starts with giving time, so from a organizational level, but also taking time as an individual. So the whole company and including definitely senior management need to see the value of communities within their organization. So this will create a company culture where communities can flourish. You need sponsoring, so budget, so that the communities that start to flourish and grow, they have some money to organize activities like an event or maybe a webinar, name it, depending on the topic of the community. And it also helps them with the feeling that the company is believing in the incentives of the communities. Um, Last but not least, also, the people within the company, they definitely need to intrinsically feel the motivation of the purpose and the common grounds of the community. So really give them space to understand and see what community actually suits them, or perhaps let them start communities themselves. So there needs to be something in the community that you really want to be part of, so that creativity and inspiration and motivation can grow. And an extra thing, if you already have that ground, community of communities can help, so you can facilitate, but also community leaders in a company that's help the communities facilitate and grow. Um, but take into account that it will always cost time, as I already mentioned. Think about the format that you want to give it. Do you want to do a free format, or do you want to have an example of perhaps taken by the community leaders? Start is easy, but to keep it is much more challenging. So don't start and think it will just, flow its way or grow its way. No, you really need to give and keep on that time that you already gave it, sustain them and keep on the budget and believe in it. because it will be difficult to measure results and track results, as a community is a self-organized thing without actually a predetermined purpose yet. So important is that communities start to define their purpose for themselves, so that eventually they can perhaps use that as a measurement to see if they are actually successful. So again, there will probably be a lot of enthusiasm in the beginning, but keeping up this spirit may be the most challenging part. A format is important, and you need the leaders of the communities to keep up the high spirit. Now I will show you just some examples of powerful communities that we have seen at our clients. There will be 3 of them, just to show you an insight of what we have seen at the clients, but also to show the differences that people take, because there is no right or wrong. Every company has a different company culture, so keep that in mind as well. So the first one that we find interesting is one that gave 10% of the time of the employees to spend on communities. They have community managers in the company to make sure that the communities are facilitated with the right tools, budget, etc. There is indeed investment in communities from government, and they gave them the option to choose between 2 types of communities. One is the committed one, so meaning you really, you're not forced, but you sort of attached and you agree.
You have to give.
And the other one is optional, so you can come and go.
Yeah, and maybe good to say it's not 10% only for time community, but for own things to do for the employees.
Personal
and also
growth.
For community.
So that was one example. Another example is different, I would say. There is a lot of sponsorship from senior management during the starting phase. They did some active campaigns to show people how important powerful communities are, and how community building should be taking place within the company. There was even an in-house training how to run communities. But then eventually they saw that, it didn't really work out that well. So they paused or even stopped some of the communities. But they did, however, use that as a lesson learned to continue that community building. But then with the lesson learned that they wanted to make it more explicit how much time was actually spent on the communities. So this helped the organization to continue the community building. Do you have anything to add for that one?
Let's say management felt like there was too much time spent on communities, and as it's difficult to measure the outcome, there was a struggle, let's say. So it's good to really make it as explicit as possible. How much time can you spend on communities?
Yeah, but also learn on the go.
Yeah.
Sure. And then just grow. Third, but last not least, example, they made it present already during the onboarding of new hires. So the moment that someone came into the company, they had this whole presentation about community building. They made it very visible. I've put one picture next to it. You don't need to understand all of it. I will do that in the third point, which is that there were 3 types of communities. One is on the expertise. So in this case, are you a backend developer? You will be in a circle of backend developers. You have department communities, meaning that within the whole department, you will find people sharing on work-related stuff, communities, and the optional one, which I've already mentioned before, whether it be on food or sustainability, etc. So I'm going to wrap up now, close this community thing, because we also need to understand what is now the leadership within this. Most important is that it needs to have at least one leader to guide the community. The whole company and senior management need to see the value of communities, and don't forget it to make it fun, invest and believe in communities.
Yeah, just to be sure, leader is not manager. Huh? Leader is only someone.
Yeah, but this is going to be mentioned shortly. So back to the village where the child was raised. Aren't we always in need of such a village, so does the community that can eventually help us to flourish and grow and to also create leaders within the communities. So, Flores, how does this actually work?
Thank you, Merel. Looking at the time, I will go through my slides a bit faster. Feel free to ask questions if in the chat if I'm a bit too fast. I want to tell you a bit about 3 ways in which communities and leadership can enforce each other. 3.5 ways, but I will come to that later. To start, let's say it's an iteration again, because Merel already mentioned it, but there are 3 preconditions for the senior leadership for successful communities, and these are so important that I will tell them again. Senior leadership must believe in the power of communities. It's very important because you cannot measure really the added value for your company. Senior leadership must create a community-friendly environment, and they really need to spend time on sponsorship. Very, very important. If they create a runway, communities can fly. Important first way, there's a leadership and communities have a shared thing. Zooming out a bit of communities. In general, in your organization, you will have formal and informal groups. The formal groups is the team you're a part of, the department, maybe the business unit. The informal group is maybe a group of colleagues with which you do sports, or you eat lunch together, or you commute to your work. If we look a bit more close at formal groups versus informal groups, you see that formal groups, looking at certain topics, the objective and the orientation is more about tasks, getting tasks done. Of course, management starts it, and it's all more formal, structure more formal, influence, leadership, and control. If we look at informal groups, it's about member satisfaction, because the community only thrives if people want to be part of it. The origin is with individual members. It's more an informal structure because the community defines the structure. It's relation-oriented, and leadership is informal. You see, with control, it's social sanctions. Sounds a bit harsh, but what we mean is a community has to steer itself. If we take a bit closer look to the informal leader, an example of an informal leader is, for instance, a thought leader. If people like to give presentations in communities about certain topics that they love or that they are very enthusiastic about, normally those people are seen as leader on their specific topic. So it's only enough that people are enthusiastic and have knowledge about certain things, where automatically people will see them as a thought leader. Another example, if you start a community and you are able to grow it and to keep it engaged, then you really show engagement leadership skills. So in essence, communities can create informal leaders. And what I mean, it's not a manager or someone with an official stamp on their forehead, but they will be seen within the company as leaders. As we are in DASA Connect, let's also look at the DevOps leader. I hope many of you have seen this nice spider web of leadership skills. If we take a more closer look, leadership skills for a DevOps leader are about personal leadership, facilitative leadership, and transformational leadership. And if we zoom in a bit more and look what kind of skills are very handy in a community, it's a lot of them. So vulnerability, accessible, no egos, focus on the positive, all skills that are very handy as a DevOps leader, but also within communities. And if we compare that with the subjects that we said, which make an informal group, we see a lot of connection these. If you want member satisfaction, you need to focus on the positive, coach, love, and support. And so there are a lot of relations between what is needed to make an informal group successful and the skills of a DevOps leader.
Nice.
So communities can also create DevOps leaders. That's the second way. Now that's the third way, and the third and a half way, which is a bit controversial, is communities can help formal leaders. In essence, it would be great if a formal leader and manager can also join communities. But when talking to colleagues and to clients, you see it differs on the company. If the company is more formal, there's more distance between management and, let's say, the work floor. People feel a bit reluctant if managers come into the community because they feel like maybe less safety, maybe it feels like it's getting more formal, the community. So if in your organization it's possible, it will be great, because on the left you see a place where you can smoke, and I don't know if you know it, but in the past when people were smoking, that was the place where you could hear exactly how it was going on in your organization. And the community can also give that kind of information, really what is going on in your organization. But safety is very important. Okay, that's the part about leadership. Let's go to our wrap-up. Our statement is, you need communities to create leaders.
Yes. Definitely.
Definitely, right?
Why not, actually?
I hope, of course, that you have an idea about that, and join the chat what your thoughts are about that. Thank you a lot.
Yes, thank you very much for listening in. And yeah, as Floris said, we'd love to hear from you in the chat, thoughts, questions, anything on communities and leadership, and perhaps some feedback on us is also fine.
Yeah, of course,
Yeah.
course. If you want to reach out to us, you can find us both on LinkedIn, and hope to speak to you in the chat or see you soon.
Yes, and enjoy the rest of the conference.
Indeed. Thanks a lot. Bye-bye.
Okay, bye-bye.